The state launched a big investigation after a lot of people put out a lot of money to have a prize-winning home builder build them homes. But he never built the homes, and he never gave back the money. Investigators found what they called substantial evidence of fraud. But when Governor Susana Martinez took office, that investigation was quickly killed. And when News 13 investigative reporter Larry Barker wanted to know why, he ran into a lie.
He's William Kalinowski, just call him Cal, Santa Fe's go-to guy for custom home building. The award-winning contractor's reputation was built on quality, style, and luxury. His downfall, however, was the construction of luxury homes in the rolling hills of Las Campanas outside Santa Fe. It was 2008. Money suddenly disappeared. Construction projects were abandoned, and by the time victims discovered he did not even have a contractor's license, Kalinowski vanished.
He's a crook.
He stole our money. He lied to me.
He defrauded me.
A man with no integrity.
A scam artist.
He bankrupted me.
The victims include contractors, home buyers, and investors.
There are those out there who would call William Kalinowski a master builder. What do you call him?
A master thief. There's millions missing.
Michael D'Alfonso and Stephen Lark ended up in bankruptcy.
Fraud, deceit, lies, misuse of funds, misappropriation of funds. It's all there.
Doug Strasser is also a victim.
The money just disappeared, and he's never offered any explanation as to where it went.
Dozens of subcontractors never got paid.
We had to lay off people. It took us a while so we could pay all our suppliers. We had to sell some trucks and things like that.
The cabinet person, the roofers, the plasterers, the plumbers, the electricians, the HVAC people, they all got cheated.
The losses are staggering.
$500,000.
$20,000.
$100,000. $600,000.
$250,000.
One client hired Cal to build his dream house. However, all he ended up with in return was this concrete slab and a $500,000 loss.
What did he do with the money?
I'd love an answer to that question.
With millions of dollars missing, in 2008, Lark and D'Alfonso filed a complaint with the State Regulation and Licensing Department, or RLD.
A crime was committed, a serious crime.
At the time, Kelly O'Donnell was RLD superintendent.
There was substantial evidence that fraud had been committed and that consumers had been harmed.
Wayne Dotson led the investigation.
How big of a case was this, Wayne?
$11 million, the largest case that we had ever handled at Regulation and Licensing Department.
The state's team of investigators assembled a room full of evidence, and then Susana Martinez was elected governor. One of the first acts of the new administration was to deep six the Kalinowski case. After 2 years of investigation, grand jury testimony, search warrants, and dozens of victims, the state quietly dropped the case. And just like that, Cal Kalinowski was off the hook. The evidence was boxed up and stashed in a storeroom. Wayne Dotson retired, Kelly O'Donnell was out, and Dee Dennis was in as the new superintendent at RLD, which is a cabinet post. In a prepared statement, Dennis claims there was no evidence to support a criminal conviction. In fact, he says there wasn't any theft or fraud either.
Do you agree with that statement?
I have to laugh for somebody to say that, because then they must not have looked at the evidence. What a grave injustice. Who's protecting the citizens of New Mexico?
The evidence that's available, had it actually been inspected, would have been irrefutable in supporting the prosecutability of this case and the fact that crimes had been committed.
The state says there does not appear to be any theft or fraud involved.
Shame on them.
Dennis claims this case is not about criminal activity, it's about a tough economy.
At the time that the bubble burst in the housing market, and these failed homes were not being sold.
So it was a failed investment.
It was a failed investment. It was a bad investment.
You looked at all that evidence, and your conclusion was this was simply a failed investment?
That is my assumption right now.
I don't think it was the economy. I think Cal took that money that was intended for, in my case, the house on my lot, and used it for some other purpose. We don't know what that is, but I understand that's fraud.
Dennis concludes in the end, Kalinowski did not financially benefit from this case.
When you made the statement, did you review the evidence before you made the statement?
I had not reviewed all of the evidence.
So why shut down a 2-year-long criminal investigation? Well, D. Dennis says the Martinez administration didn't shut it down. He says it was the other guys.
The previous administration closed this investigation at the end of 2010, before we came in.
And just to make sure we understand who should be blamed, he repeats it.
The case was closed by the previous administration. This case was closed by the previous administration.
Dennis says this RLD email is proof. Quote, immediately suspend all work on the Kalinowski case. But take a close look at the date, January 5, 2011. 5 days into the Martinez administration. Oops. And this is not the only deception. You see, Dennis claims it's such a bad investigation, the AG refused to prosecute.
Did the Attorney General's office have an opportunity to review this case?
Yes, sir, on, I believe it was May 10th of 2010.
And what did they say?
They said they weren't interested in pursuing the case.
Are there any documents to substantiate that?
No, sir.
We searched our records and could not find any information that would indicate that we were asked to prosecute the case. And certainly, if we had been asked, we would have reviewed it and made a determination as to whether it was prosecutable or not. And if we had declined it, we would have notified them clearly that we had declined it.
Somebody's not telling the truth. Who is it?
Larry, I don't have any idea. I'm not going to sit here and call them a liar.
The one person who has not weighed in with an opinion is the man at the heart of this case. Eventually, Kalinowski closed down his Santa Fe construction business. He filed for bankruptcy and then disappeared. We tracked him down 1,900 miles away here to the Boston, Massachusetts area. Today, he makes his home 30 miles south of Boston in the seaside village of Duxbury. He rents an estate overlooking Kingston Bay and works as a school teacher. Cal would not agree to an on-camera interview.
Nothing to be served by talking.
Are the people who feel like they've been hurt and that you cheated them, they feel that way, and they've said that. Did you cheat them?
No, of course not. I didn't do anything wrong, but dredging it up from my side and making people more upset, I don't see any benefit to anybody. My whole life has been ruined by this. Ruined.
But Cal is not off the hook. Not yet. You see, during this interview, D. Dennis dropped a bombshell.
There is reason to reopen this investigation and move forward.
You heard that right. After trashing the case for more than a year, the superintendent now says he changed his mind and will reopen the case.
You said in here there did not appear to be any theft or fraud involved, and now you said, well, maybe there is.
There may be. I don't know that until the investigation is done.
Did you mislead me?
I did not mislead you.
I've been asking questions for weeks, and all of a sudden we turn on the cameras and you've suddenly found all the resources to investigate a case that was closed more than 14 months ago.
Oh, I haven't changed our position.
You reopened this after I inquired about it.
Yes, sir, I did.
Has justice been served in this case?
Absolutely not. There's been no justice here.
Do you make any apologies for the handling of this case?
Do I make any apologies? No, sir, I don't.
Larry Barker, KRQE News 13.
We will, of course, keep track of where this case goes now. Larry does have another investigation Wednesday night at 10.
Remember Larry Barker's investigation of the $7 million mansion with the $24 tax bill? It can't get any more outrageous, right? Think again. Larry tracks down the elected official with the secret deal that makes this story even more shocking. 13 Investigates with Larry Barker, Wednesday at 10 on KRQE News 13.